Hello, everyone. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, Musings about my games and my top 10 lists. Today, I want to talk about the top 10 games I played in 2021. 2021's been over for a couple weeks now, and I have these numbers because I log every board game that I play on boardgamegeek.com. Check it out if you haven't already. This is actually 11 games because there was a tie, and so therefore I had to. I'll talk about all 11. 2021, obviously a weird year. Still in the midst of the pandemic. I was quarantining at the beginning of the year because I wanted to stay safe until the vaccine came out. Vaccine came out, and I played a bunch of games. I was quarantining at the end of the year because I was going to be visiting my wife's grandparents and my parents, and they're more at risk. Wanted to make sure to be safe for them. In the middle of that, I played a lot of games. I am not counting games that I played online. Specifically, I play a lot of games on Board Game Arena. If you want to play with me, let me know and send me a message. Big shout out to Nick Lishko, Brendan Quebedo, Lishko's brothers and cousin, because I'm always playing around 7 to 10 games with them at any given time that are, take your turn whenever you can, and so a game of Stone Age will stretch on for a few weeks, but it's a lot of fun. So check out Board Game Arena as well. So without any further ado, let's get to my top 10, 11 games I played in 2021. Number 8 is a three-way tie. There's going to be a lot of ties here. So number 8 is a three-way tie for games I played 6 times. So one of those games is Dominion. Dominion is one of the heavier games on this list, heavier in terms of actually picking it up, because it's a very heavy game, because I have 4 sets within this one box, and all the little cards as well. Probably have room for another small expansion. Maybe I'll get one at some point. I picked up Guilds for free. How did I get Guilds this year? I don't even know. But Dominion is a great game, one of the best deck builders of all time. Started the genre of deck building, and I love a good deck building game. I play Dominion sometimes with my wife, occasionally, just the two of us. But it's a good game that doesn't take too long to play with people from all levels of skill. A little bit harder than an entry level game. Also in the three-way tie for 8, A Feast for Odin. My favorite game. I've talked about this a lot, so I won't talk about it too much more. But always love to play this game, and it just came out on Board Game Arena, so I'm excited in beta, so I'm excited to play it on Board Game Arena. Third in the three-way tie for 8 is Splendor. Splendor is one of my favorite entry-level games, by which I mean this is a good game to pull out with people who do not play a lot of games already. I do think the unfortunate downside of this one for an entry-level game is that if you know what you're doing, you'll usually crush them. But it still gives them an opportunity to feel like they're building something, because they are. They're building an economy, and it's very stripped-down sense. Ton of fun. That's Splendor. So that was number 8 of my top 11 games I played in 2021. Now moving on to number 4. Because there's a 5-way tie for number 4. That's games I played 7 times this year. So, first of all, let's talk about Everdell. Everdell is not an entry-level game, but it is very cute. It has these anthropomorphic creatures, and you are building a tableau of these creatures and trying to get points and chain cards together. We also recently, for Christmas, I got an expansion for this. This is a great game, and the cuteness of it makes it even better. That's Everdell. Also a game I played 7 times. Oh, this one's real heavy. Scythe. Scythe is hard to explain without showing it to you in depth. This is a game it has a huge board, and you're moving these mechs around, but it's not really about combat. It is about the threat of combat sometimes, but most of your points come from your economy and managing your little player board. The theme is great. The design is fascinating. Big fan. That is Scythe. Moving from one of the heaviest games on this list to one of the lightest games, and that is Sushi Go Party. The reason I play it 7 times because this is one of the best games, if not the best game, to play with people who are fairly new to the hobby or want something lighter, and there's 6 to 8 of you. How many people does this play? Actually, it plays up to 8. Plays fine with 5 too. I wouldn't really do it with 4 too much. Uh, Super fun game, super cute. All these little sushis with faces on them. It's a drafting game. If you're interested in games like Seven Wonders, give this a try first. This is essentially the simpler version of Seven Wonders. Another game I played 7 times, another heavier one, is Tapestry. And it's funny that I think I've only played this with 3 different people. So played it a lot with Mark and Jonathan. I think I played it once with Matthew. Tapestry is from the same designer as Scythe, Jamie Steckmeyer, one of my favorite designers. And this is a civilization game, but it doesn't feel like the stereotypical civilization game. Essentially, you're moving up tracks. There's these tracks around the board. You're moving up them, you're getting the benefits. I love me a good track. I'll talk about that in some other video sometime. But yeah, a lot of fun, big production. I think I played this for the first time this year, actually, but managed to get it in 7 times. Moving on, last of the games in the 5-way tie that I played 7 times is Taverns of Tiefenthal. This is a deck building and dice placement game. Severely underrated game, in my opinion. Not many people talk about this game. It's from the same designer of Quacks of Quedlinburg, which is a good game. I prefer this one. It's a fun theme of running a bar, like a probably Middle Ages bar, I think it is. And there's a lot of different things you can do strategically and a lot of different ways to play the game. Big fan, Taverns of Tiefenthal. So that was number 4 with 5-way tie. So moving on to number 2, the 2-way tie, and these are both very light games. First one being Bananagrams. I'm not a huge fan of word games. Love Bananagrams because it's there's no turns. Everyone goes as fast as they can. It's basically speed Scrabble. Not a huge fan of Scrabble. Love Bananagrams. Fun fact, this is the first game that I played with my now wife, at the time just friend, on her 21st birthday. On or thereabouts her 21st birthday. And in fact, this is her old version, so it still has her maiden name on there, which is fun. We each had a version when we got married, and we gave mine away to someone. That's Bananagrams. I will play Bananagrams basically at any given point because it's so fast and fun. And then the other game I played 8 times this year was Sequoia. Sequoia we picked up at a gaming convention this year at Origins. And this it plays well up to 6 players, with the expansion, I should say. 5 players out of the main box. Amy picked it up and I was like, I don't know about this. She bought it. It's a great game. This is a game to play with people who are not interested in other games. I talked about Splendor being a good introduction. That's for people who want to get into board games. This game, I would play with anybody, and I think they would have a good time. Played this a lot with my parents, with Amy's grandparents, with Amy's parents, and also with people who are super into games. Fun time, kind of random, but you're making an interesting decision each time, and it goes quickly. Good game, Sequoia. Now the outlier. So that was my number 2 through 11. Number 1 is a game I played for the first time this year. You'll notice number 2 I played the games 8 times. Number 1, oh, it's heavy, is Terraforming Mars, which I played 46 times this year. Never played it before this year. My friend Mark bought it or got it for Christmas or something, brought it to my house. I played it. I said, yes, I want that. I bought it. A bunch of my friends in the neighborhood got it. I played this game with Bob so many times. Played this game 2 players with Amy so many times. And we'll be like, oh, you want to play a game? Yeah. What do you want to play? Yeah, we'll play Terraforming Mars. Let's play Mars. This game makes you feel clever more than any other game I think I've played. It's not for the faint of heart. There's a lot of rules. it's not as complicated as it might at first appear. This is definitely not an entry level game. That's Domino saying, huh? Um, so, highly recommend it. That is Terraforming Mars. Just be a good boy. If I was more into editing and cared more about this channel, I would clearly edit that out, but I'm not going to do that. So those were my top 11 games I played the most in 2021. Stay tuned. I'm at some point this year. I'm going to do a list of my top 10 solo games because my challenge this year is to play all of my solo games that I own, or games that can be played solo. I guess I am splicing things in here. Hopefully, this doesn't screw up the first one that I just filmed. We'll see. But I'm also planning on doing my top 100 games at the end of the year, doing that every other year. So stay tuned for that too. And yeah, hope 2022 is a year full of gaming for you. Is a game full of yearing for you. Bye.